It has been nearly 4 years since Genshin Impact was released, with currently a total of 5 of Teyvat's regions out. With the release of new regions, it also brings new characters, taking the total playable character count in the game to 79. 79 is a lot of playable characters, but out of these 79, who exactly is the best character of them all, and the most worth your primogems at this present moment? Let me share more. To make the character selection a lot more fair, we have to lay down some criteria. In Genshin, characters mainly have the following functionalities. Number 1, dealing damage. Dealing damage is almost everything in Genshin, especially since it will determine whether you can clear certain content and how fast you can do it. For example, the Spiral Abyss requires you to defeat all enemies within 10 minutes for each chamber to pass to the next chamber. Number 2, increase the survivability of your team through healing or shielding. You may be able to deal damage, but if your damage dealers are glass cannons, meaning they get defeated in a single hit, it would be difficult for them to deal damage too. So, healing and shielding is important as well. Number 3, buffing damage. Because there is only so much you can do to build your character's artifacts and weapons, their damage will be capped unless you're able to increase it in other ways. Some ways to buff damage are through character's bursts and artifacts such as the Viridescent Venera artifact set. And finally, the character needs to be able to be fit into multiple teams. The reason for this is that for a character to be the best, being able to fit into multiple teams will ensure that the character is more valuable than others who can only fit into one kind of team. For instance, Shenhe can primarily only work as a damage buffer for cryo teams. Although she excels at her job, she is less versatile than others. In other words, the best character in Genshin needs to be the one that is able to do all the above mentioned items. Dealing damage, healing or shielding, buffing, and fitting in multiple teams so that he or she is the most value for your money. Do note that I won't count constellations for 5-star characters, but I will for 4 stars as they're easier to obtain overall. So, what type of characters won't work? For example, Yelan fails 3 of the criteria. She can deal significant damage with a skill and burst, buff the team's damage with a passive talent, Adapt with Ease, and also fit into multiple teams as she can apply Hydro easily, but she cannot provide the shielding or healing that is beneficial in so many teams, which will limit her team comps. Hu Tao also won't work, because although she can deal damage and also heal herself with her burst, she is less versatile and primarily needs to be slotted into teams with a shielder and Hydro Applicator to work well. She is also unable to buff the team's overall damage. As such, I've taken the liberty to shortlist 3 characters that fulfill the above criteria, and they are Xingqiu, Bennett, and Furina. Xingqiu is able to apply Hydro and deal significant damage with his elemental burst, especially when there are elemental reactions involved. That's why he's perfect to pair with Pyro Applicators like Xiangling and Hu Tao. He is also able to provide somewhat of a shield with his elemental skill, as his rain swords help to increase the resistance to interruption by a little and reduces the overall damage taken. Moreover, after these swords expire, they also heal the active character based off of Xingqiu's max HP. Although this healing is not much, for characters like Hu Tao, who needs a HP below 50%, it is just nice. His C2, Rainbow Upon the Azure Sky, also reduces the enemy's Hydro resistance by 15% when the rain sword hits enemies. With an all-rounded kit and an amazing element, Xingqiu can be fit into multiple teams. Vaporize, Hyper Bloom, Freeze, you name it. That is why Xingqiu is one of my contenders for the best characters in the game. Next, we have Bennett. Although Bennett's primary function isn't damage, he can definitely still do significant damage if you build him with the right artifacts. Just take a look.
借りなくときみんながそばにいてくれれば傷なんて痛まない。
Where Bennett truly shines is of course with his elemental burst, where he can heal the active character up to 70% of their HP and also increase that character's attack if the HP is 70% or above. With his C1, he's of course able to forego that restriction, being able to both heal and buff damage at the same time. This once again makes Bennett extremely easy to place on multiple teams. There are many characters in Genshin that scale off attack, and having the additional attack will almost always benefit the team, as it will help to defeat the enemy a lot quicker. Coupled with healing, what's not to love? That made Bennett one of my contenders for the best characters in Genshin. Finally, with the 5-star Hydro Archon, Furina. Furina can literally do everything. If you want her to deal damage, she can definitely do so with her Salon members. What's more, this damage she deals is honestly quite significant and is off-field, which allows you to add an additional damage dealer in your team to deal even more damage. She can also heal if you use her charge attack with her elemental skill to summon the Singers of all waters to heal your active character. Furina's main selling point, however, is her ability to buff the team's damage with her elemental burst, which increases the damage buff based on the HP changes in the party. What's extra unique is that this is a damage buff. No matter if the character scales off HP, attack or defense, Furina can still buff their damage. Finally, with Furina being of the Hydro element and the aforementioned abilities, of course, it allows her to fit into multiple teams as well. Her elemental skill, which takes HP from a team, also helps to enable the Marichase Hunter artifact set, which makes a lot of other normal or charge attack users a lot more viable and stronger as well. Unsurprisingly, this of course makes Furina my contender for the best character in Genshin. So, having discussed all 3 characters, who is the best? But before we dive into that, if you enjoyed today's video so far, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe if you haven't, to help us to get to our next goal of 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much! If we look at damage, the character that you would primarily build for damage will be Furina and Xingqiu. Xingqiu can deal good damage with his burst, but does lose out to Furina's DPS, especially since she's a 5-star character. If we look at healing or shielding, I would say that it will go to Furina and Bennett, as they can actually heal the team. Personally, I would prefer Bennett's healing as it is faster. Furina's healing is okay, but she will not be able to apply Hydro or deal damage in a healing mode, which is one downside. If we look at damage buffing next, the true damage buffers will once again be Bennett and Furina. While many characters scale off attack, there has been more and more characters who instead scale off of other aspects, such as Yelan, Neuvillette, and Ito, to name a few. Considering that Furina is able to buff all of these characters, and even those who scale off attack, without caring about their actual scalings, makes Furina the better one for damage buffing. Finally, for versatility, all 3 characters are versatile, but taking into account the previous pointers, Furina is definitely the most versatile on top of being of the Hydro element. All in all, Furina, being able to deal damage and heal with her Salon members, buff the team's overall damage and ability to fit in multiple teams, takes the cake for being the best character in Genshin. When Furina does get her rerun, make sure that you pull for her or get more constellations for her, because I can tell you right now, she's definitely worth it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Do you agree with my pick? What are your own picks? Do let me know down in the comment section below. Additionally, if you enjoyed today's video, a like and a subscribe if you haven't will really help the channel a lot. Thank you in advance! If you'd like to see which standard banner character is the most worth to build, please click the video on the right. If you would like to see my other Genshin Impact videos, please click the playlist on the left. Once again, thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye bye!